The room smelled of lavender and fresh linen, but Kemi felt nothing. She sat in front of the mirror, staring at the reflection of a woman everyone admired. She was 30 years old, accomplished, beautiful, the CEO of her own thriving business. Yet, behind the flawless makeup and carefully selected pearls, she saw what no one else did: the cracks beneath the surface. Her phone buzzed on the dresser. Another message. Another man trying to break through the walls she had spent years building. She sighed and turned the screen face down. She already knew what it said. Kemi, I don't understand why you're pushing me away. What are you afraid of? Afraid. That word clung to her like a second skin. She traced her fingers over the silver chain on her neck, a habit she didn't even realize she had. A small pendant rested just above her heart, a gift from her father on her 16th birthday, a month after she had been broken in the worst possible way. She exhaled, gripping the dresser's edge, trying to steady herself. She had built an empire, climbed to the top of the corporate world where men bowed in her presence. She had power, respect. But when the sun set, when silence crept in, she was just that 15-year-old girl again. Powerless, terrified, betrayed. Someone knocked. Kemi. It was her mother's voice, soft and laced with concern. She swallowed hard. Yes, Mama. Are you ready? We should leave for the Thanksgiving service soon. She closed her eyes. The Thanksgiving service. Her father's elder brother, Uncle Matthew, was going to be there. The well-respected, influential man of God. The man everyone admired. The man who had stolen her childhood. Kemi. Her mother's voice came again. I'll be out in a minute, she said. She heard the retreating footsteps and released a slow, shaky breath. How had she lived like this for 15 years? Carrying a secret so heavy, it has shaped her entire existence. She had tried to love. She had tried to trust. But every time a man came close, the fear swallowed her whole being. Every touch reminded her of the night she had spent staring at the ceiling, praying to disappear. Every whispered promise sounded like the lies her uncle told her to keep silent. She looked at herself in the mirror again, this time leaning closer until her breath fogged the glass. You are not that girl anymore, she whispered. But was that true? Because tonight she would have to stand in the same room as him. She would have to smile and shake hands and pretend she was okay. Or maybe tonight was the night she stopped pretending. Kemi arrived at the church with a calmness that wasn't hers. It was borrowed from years of practice, from the mask she had worn so well that no one had ever suspected a thing. The grand hall was filled with family, friends, and church members, all gathered to celebrate her uncle's latest achievement, an honorary award for his service to humanity. She almost laughed. The irony was suffocating. Ah, Kemi, her father's voice boomed as he pulled her into a hug. My daughter, the pride of the Adekunle family. Come, greet your uncle. Her entire body tensed. She knew this moment would come. She had imagined it over and over again. How his voice would sound, how his touch would feel, how her stomach would twist in ways she couldn't control. And then there he was, Uncle Matthew, a tall, well-groomed man in an expensive agbada. His smile warm and deceiving. To everyone else, he was the wise elder, the respected businessman, the devoted Christian. To her, he was a monster. Kemi, his voice was rich with familiarity, dripping with false affection. Look at you. Ah, it has been too long, my dear. He stretched out his arms to embrace her. She froze. For a moment, she was 15 again, trapped in a dimly lit room. Her voice stolen, her innocence ripped away by the same hands that now reached for her, like she was still that helpless child. Oh, but she wasn't. Not anymore. She took a step back. The movement was subtle, but it spoke volumes. His smile faltered for half a second, just enough for her to see it. He knew. He knew she remembered. Kemi, her mother whispered, nudging her forward, oblivious to the storm raging within her daughter. Greet your uncle properly now. Kemi forced her lips into a smile, but her eyes were still. Good evening, sir, she said, her voice firm, measured. She saw it again, that flicker of unease in his eyes. Good, let him feel it. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Speeches, laughter, toasts. All the while Kemi watched him from across the room. Watched how easily he fooled everyone, how they hung onto his every word. Enough. She excused herself, walked out into the cool night air, breathing in deeply. For 15 years, she had carried this burden alone. She had let fear shape her life, push away love, isolate her from happiness. But tonight she had seen something she had never noticed before. He was afraid of her too. For the first time in 15 years, the power had shifted. And maybe, just maybe, she was ready to take back what was hers. Kemi stood under the church's entrance arch, the cool evening breeze teasing the edge of her gele. Her heart was still pounding, but not with fear this time, with something else, something powerful. For 15 years, she had been the victim, the silent one, the girl who had buried her truth so deep that it almost suffocated her. But not anymore. She turned back towards the brightly lit hall, her eyes scanning the crowd through the windows. There he was, laughing, shaking hands, basking in his own lies. The world saw a righteous man, a leader, a pillar of the community. But she saw a coward, If she was going to expose him, she couldn't be reckless. No. She would do it the way he would least expect. Gradually, methodically, and with precision. And when she was done, he would have nowhere to hide his face. She needed to plant the first seed. One small, seemingly harmless move that would create ripples. She pulled out her phone and opened her WhatsApp status. Carefully, she typed, "The people we trust the most are often the ones who betray us in ways we never forget. Sometimes the truth hides behind the most respected titles." She stared at what she had typed for a moment before hitting post. A simple sentence, but enough to make those who knew her well pause. Enough to make Uncle Matthew uncomfortable. She watched from the corner of her eyes as her cousin, Tolu, picked up his phone and frowned at the screen. He was Uncle Matthew's first son, and the two of them were very close. But Tolu also knew her well enough to sense when something was wrong. A few moments later, her phone buzzed. Tolu said, "Kemi, are you okay? What is this post about? What are you trying to say?" She smirked. Hook, line, and sinker. She typed back, "Not, just thinking about some things from the past." And then she let that sit in. The next move had to be precise. She couldn't just scream into the wind. She needed evidence. Kemi had spent years pretending to forget, but she had never truly erased the past. Somewhere buried in old diaries and memories were fragments of what had happened. She spent the next week going through her childhood journals, scanning old notes, piecing together the things she had written in secret. She found a torn page from a notebook. Her own 15-year-old handwriting scrawled across it. It read, "I don't know if God sees me anymore. I want to disappear. I want to wake up and find out this was a nightmare. But it is not. He comes into my room at night. He says it's our secret. Oh, but I hate him. I hate him so much." Kemi's fingers trembled as she held the page. She had forgotten she had written this. Now, this would be her weapon. The final phase had to be the one that left no room for doubt. She reached out to a journalist, someone she trusted, someone who had exposed powerful men before. She sent a message that read, "I have a story, and I have enough proof." She knew the journalists wouldn't ignore it. Stories like this broke careers, destroyed reputations, and in this new age of social media, no one was too powerful to fall. But before the world heard her truth, she needed her family to hear it first. And so, she arranged a dinner, a private gathering with her parents, her siblings, and her uncle's immediate family, the people who needed to hear it the most. That night, as they all sat around the long dining table, laughter filling the air, Kemi suddenly cleared her throat and said, "I have something to say." The room went silent. All eyes turned on her. She placed the torn page from her journal on the table, slowly and deliberately. And then, locking eyes with her uncle across the table, she spoke the words that would shatter everything. She said, 15 years ago, Uncle Matthew stole something from me, and I will no longer be silent about it. The glass in the hand of Uncle Matthew slipped and shattered against the table. There was silence in the room. The silence was deafening. And Kemi, oh, she had never felt more powerful in all her life. The room was frozen in time. Kemi could hear the slow ticking of the wall clock, the shallow breaths of her mother, the soft rustling of fabric as someone shifted uncomfortably. But the loudest sound in the room was the silence. Uncle Matthew's face had drained of all color. His usual air of confidence was gone, replaced with something else. Panic. What are you talking about, Kemi? His voice was low, forced. Kemi picked up the torn page from the table and held it between her fingers and said, "I wrote this when I was 15, the year you turned my life into a nightmare." Her mother gasped. Her father, always the strong, steady man, looked at her like he had never seen her before. "Kemi, what is this? What are you saying?" Kemi clenched her fist under the table. "For 15 years, I have carried this secret. While you all praised this man, while he stood in pulpits preaching about righteousness, I was dying inside. Do you know what it's like to scream in your own mind because no one will believe you? Do you know what it's like to flinch at every touch, to never trust any man because the first one who was supposed to protect you," her voice broke, but she held firm, "was the one who destroyed you?" "Enough!" Uncle Matthew's voice was sharp now. "This is madness. I don't know what you think you remember." But before he could finish, Kemi said, her voice clear and unwavering, "You touched me." The words hung in the air, deadly and damning. Her mother let out a strangled sob, covering her mouth with trembling fingers. "Jesus Christ," Tolu whispered. His eyes darted between his father and Kemi, disbelief clouding his expression. Uncle Matthew stood abruptly. "I will not sit here and be accused of such things. This girl, Kemi let out a cold laugh. This girl has proof. She pulled out her phone, opened a recording, and hit play. The room was filled with the sound of Uncle Matthew's voice, shaky and uneasy, on the record, coming from her phone. He said, "Kemi, let's not dig up the past now. What's done is done." Our own voice played back, full of barely restrained fury. "What do you mean by what's done is done? You stole my childhood. You stole my trust. And now, you want to pretend it never happened?" There was silence on the recording. And then Uncle Matthew's voice again, this time very desperate. "Please, Kemi, you know I have a family, a reputation. Let's not do anything we will both regret." Kemi paused the audio from her phone. The weight of the evidence pressed into every corner of the room. Uncle Matthew's face twisted. His eyes darted around the room, looking for an ally. But there was none. Kemi's father, her strong, proud father, stood up slowly, his hands trembling with rage. "Is this true?" His voice was barely above a whisper, but it carried the weight of a storm. "Her brother, she's lying," Uncle Matthew snapped. "This is a setup." Tolu's chair scrapped against the floor as he stood. He had gone pale. "Dad," his voice cracked. "Tell me you didn't do this. Tell me Kemi is lying." Uncle Matthew looked at his son, his last hope. His shoulders dropped. "Tolu, you know me." Tolu did not even allow him to stop. He said, in a whisper, "I thought I did. But now, I don't know who you are anymore." And just like that, the walls that Uncle Matthew had built around himself began to crumble. Kemi stood up, taking one last look at the man who had haunted her for years. And she said, "Your reputation will not save you. I sent this recording to a journalist. By tomorrow, the world will know exactly who you are." The whole color drained completely from Uncle Matthew's face. "Kemi, don't do this. I can fix this. Let me fix this." "Fix? Fix what?" Kemi let out a bitter laugh. "You cannot fix what you have already broken. You can only watch as the truth burns down everything you built on lies." Kemi turned to her father, her voice softer now. "I'm sorry, Daddy. I know this is hard to hear, but I will refuse to be silent again." Her father, eyes filled with unshed tears, reached out and held her hand. "You don't have to be sorry, my daughter. Not anymore. I wish you told me this earlier. Come here." And he held her in his arms. And for the first time in 15 years, Kemi felt free.